Hello, my name is Abby Bruderly, and today I'm going to share with you my research project titled Morphology and Preservation of the Echinoids of the Cretaceous Walnut Formation in Central Texas. I worked on this project with my mentor, Dr. Rex Hanger, a professor here at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater in the Department of Geography, Geology, and Environmental Science. Morphology is basically the study of the shape of these fossils, and preservation looks at how well they were preserved over time. The Cretaceous Walnut Formation, as I'll discuss later on, is located in Central Texas, and that's where all of these fossils were collected from. To begin, let's set the stage of what we're talking about. This is a map of the Cretaceous world, slightly younger than the fossils we have in our collection at UW-Whitewater. The university is labeled on the map, as well as the collection site in Texas, which at this point in time was under a large ocean. This is a closer view of the United States during the Cretaceous period. The darker blue color indicates deep ocean waters, so the area in my study, as seen by the red oval, has samples from shallow oceans. And this is just one more view of the paleogeographic landscape, showing the different areas of the ocean. The samples in this study were taken from the Comanche Shelf, which had very shallow tropical waters, which were ideal for life. And this is a map of Texas showing where rocks are exposed at the surface for paleontologists to sample. The red oval indicates where the Limpassus River cut away and eroded rocks, allowing for them to be exposed, collected, and studied. This is the stratigraphic section showing stacks of rocks found in Central Texas. Between the green lines is the Walnut Formation, my area of study, and the orange arrow indicates the area that is particularly fossiliferous. Note the Comanche Peak limestone and the Edwards limestone above the Walnut Formation. Here is an aerial view of an eroded hillside showing the boundaries of the formations in the area. The Edwards Formation is located on the top of the hill, the Comanche Peak below that, and the Walnut Formation being at the bottom underneath the other two. This is a field photo showing the boundary between the two formations, indicated by the green dashed line. All of the rocks you see on the bottom are actually fossils that have just fallen out of the rock due to weathering. That makes collection in this area very easy. And this is just another view of the boundary between them. You can see the elevation difference between the formations, with the Comanche Peak Formation being on top of the hill above the Walnut Formation. And this is just one of many sites that these fossils were collected from. The dominant fauna here are actually mollusks, like these gastropods or snails. The two most common are Turritella, the smaller individuals on the left, and Tylostoma, which are larger in size and pictured on the right. These are both pretty well preserved. Another dominant mollusk are these bivalves. They live in ocean environments and are infaunal, which means they live within the sediment. These species pictured here, Protocardia multistriata, are examples of internal molds. Sediment fills the open space between the outside skeleton of the dead individual and hardens, leaving a solid structure from the inside. And the most prized mollusk found in this region are the extinct ammonites. These large fossils are commonly found in smaller pieces that can be puzzled together into one whole specimen. A digital caliper is used for size comparison in this photo. In addition to all of these mollusks are echinoids, which can make up anywhere from 4 to 22% of fossils collected in any layer of the Walnut Formation. This is a diagram of the distribution of both regular and irregular echinoids in the marine environment. Regular echinoids, like sea urchins, are epifaunal, which means they live on the surface of the sediment, and were also passive grazing organisms. Irregular echinoids, like sand dollars, lived within the sediment on the sea floor and ate the particles within it. First, we'll begin with examples of regular echinoids. Pictured here is an urchin called Tetragramma taffy. Each of the little bumps is where a spine would be. However, those aren't well preserved and get lost or destroyed during the preservation process. Here is another regular echinoid called Selenia mexicana. These are quite small individuals compared to Tetragramma taffy, the ones that we just saw. And this Halictopus plantus shows a common type of imperfection found on regular echinoids. Pieces of the hard outer layer have cracked and flaked off. And this is a perfect example of how habitats affect preservation. Most regular echinoid fossils are not well preserved. This is because they live on the sediment and after death get fractured, dissolved, or even destroyed. They are not as well preserved as irregular echinoids, like this Heteroster texanum. Nicknamed heart urchins after their unique shape, these lived within the sediment and were protected and better preserved. Because of the success of their preservation, that means that we have lots of them to study. And I mean lots. This is a picture of just a few collections here at UW-Whitewater in the paleontology lab. I measured the length and width of numerous heart urchins, and this is just one size frequency diagram. This bihistogram compares the populations of different sizes of this species, Heteroster texanum, and is sampled at two different levels within the Walnut Formation, the upper Marl member and the Keys Valley Marl member. This pattern is consistent throughout all layers of the Walnut Formation. So let's recall their infaunal lifestyle and the fact that they are better preserved than their epifaunal counterparts. This lifestyle, however, has one large problem called sediment loading. Sediment on top of the dead organism applies pressure and can lead to cracks and fractures. If pressure is applied, like shown by the orange arrows, we can imagine what would happen to the organism. A perfect analogy to this is a Valentine's Day heart-shaped junior mint. This is what happens after pressure is applied. The hard outer coating on the junior mint, representing the tough exoskeleton on the echinoid, cracks and reveals the delicate innards of the specimen. This is just an aerial photo showing that the collection sites are common. It's basically wherever exposed rock is. But these areas are sadly only temporary and are now covered by suburbs and developed areas. A future trip to the field is in the works and planned for the fall of 2021 to find and collect at new sites. The goal is to get more complete coverage of the Walnut Formation at all levels. I'd like to thank UW-Whitewater Undergraduate Research Program and my mentor Rex Hanger for their support on this project. Thank you.